3 o'clock, we have Kevin Burt with us, who is our Unemployment Insurance Division Director. If everyone can just double check again that they have the ability to record on their end, that would be helpful. We can fix that if needed right now before we get started. Yeah, just double check again that you have the ability to record. If you can, please make sure that you are muted so that we don't interrupt anyone's recording quality. I will do a quick run of show and then we'll go ahead and get started. So how we will operate is Kevin will give us an introduction and overview about what has just been passed in Congress with the COVID-19 relief package. After Kevin has been able to give his overview, we'll open it up to questions. If you can start by putting your questions into the chat, we'll monitor that and we'll just go one by one in order of the chat questions received. Once all of those questions have been answered, if there's any other lingering questions or any follow-ups that we need to do, we'll be happy to take care of that. Again, please keep your mic muted until we call on you for questions. And with that, Kevin, why don't you go ahead?
Okay, good afternoon. Kevin Burt with the Department of Workforce Services Unemployment Insurance Division. I wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about the extension of the CARES Act programs that was recently passed congressionally, talk a little bit about the timeframes, and then talk a little bit about some of our key messages, and then certainly I'll open it up to any questions. So with the recent extension of the CARES Act, there's two primary program extensions. The first one is the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance. Remember, the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance was set to expire on December 26th. This is a fully federally unemployment program for those that are self-employed or gig workers. Again, that was set to expire on December 26th and has been extended through March 13th of 2021. In addition to the extension of the deadline, there's also an extension in the number of weeks an individual can receive the unemployment benefits if they are eligible. Pandemic unemployment assistance was limited to 39 weeks. There's an additional 11 weeks that have been added for a total of 50 weeks. The pandemic extended unemployment benefit is the other one that has been extended with this recent bill that has passed congressionally. And that was for individuals who were receiving unemployment, exhausted their state benefit, they transitioned to a temporary 13-week fully federally funded extended benefit. That program was also set to expire on December 26th of this year, and that has also been extended until March 13th of 2021. In addition to, again, that extension of the time to receive it, there is an extension to how many weeks an individual can receive. Initially with the CARES Act, it was limited to 13 weeks. With this an extension, it has added an additional 11 weeks, meaning individuals can receive up to 24 weeks or until the program expires on March 13th, 2021. And the other significant change specific to the unemployment insurance program is a reinstatement of the federal pandemic unemployment compensation or the stimulus payment. That is going to be, in this round, an additional $300 stimulus for anyone that is eligible for an unemployment benefit. That includes both the pandemic unemployment assistance, the extended benefit, as well as your traditional state benefit. That is payable for the weeks ending January 2nd. So the way unemployment works is that the week ending is the payable week, and then the following week, you do a continued claim attesting to what occurred during that previous week. So it's the week ending January 2nd, meaning individuals that file a continued claim during the week of January 3rd through January 9th will be attesting to what occurred during the time period of December 27th through January 2nd. And if it's determined they are eligible and the program becomes available, that is the first week that they could potentially get the $300 a week payment. So the week of January 3rd through January 9th, when they can file a continued claim, if the program has been stood up by that time, the $300 would be paid for the week of December 27th through January 2nd. Now, as far as the timing, because this is going to be critical, and this is something that we experienced early on with the CARES Act, there's a couple steps or critical steps that need to occur. First, even though the bill has passed, it has not been signed into law. And so we still need the president to sign this bill into law. And that has not occurred yet. It is expected to occur, but it may take several days. There has been an extension of the budget for 7 days to allow time for the bill to be packaged and sent to the president for signature. So that could take several days. Once it's signed into law, then it's the responsibility of the United States Department of Labor to interpret that law and provide guidance to each individual state of how to properly administer each aspect of the bill. And for some context, initial stages of the CARES Act took a few weeks to be able to receive that guidance. And then once we receive that guidance, and we will be able to look at our operational abilities and make sure to focus on providing these important benefits to those that are eligible. But there are those initial steps. So even with this bill passing, there are several steps before we can get to payment for the eligible individuals. As far as our priorities, our priority number one would be there are people who are, there's about 10,000 Utahns that are either on the pandemic unemployment assistance right now or the extended benefits, and those are set to expire on December 26th. We are right now making programmatic changes to make sure that the individuals who are currently receiving those benefits, when they file their continued claim next Sunday, beginning next Sunday, that they will be able to do so. So we believe we'll be able to meet that and make sure that individuals who are receiving the benefit that were due to expire on this Saturday will not be kicked off the program. Those programs will continue, and they'll be able to seamlessly continue to file those extended benefits. And again, that's about 10,000 Utahns. The other one, of course, priority would be the $300 stimulus payment. This will be a significant help to those that have been unemployed. Remember, it is only payable for the week of January 2nd, which would be paid out the first week of January. We want to make sure that we make that available as soon as possible once that guidance is received. That's about 30,000 individuals that would be eligible for that. And then we will focus on the extended benefits. It is critical, or the extension, the 11-week extension of both, or additional weeks of both the pandemic unemployment and the extended benefits. When it comes to the $300, we hope to do it similarly to that we did with the other stimulus benefits. There is not a need to apply. Individuals who are receiving it will automatically be considered for the $300 stimulus payments, and if eligible, will automatically be paid. There's no need to apply for it. There's no need to call and request it. Once we receive the guidance and once we have the programming available, our hope is to automatically assess people who are receiving the benefit if they are eligible, and then automatically pay it. And with that, we'll go ahead and open it up to any questions.
All right, thanks, Kevin. We don't have any in the chat box yet, so if someone is interested in asking any follow-up questions, please raise your hand. Oh, Tony Simrad. All right, Tony, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Howdy, Kevin.
Hi, Tony.
Hey, so just to be clear, if I'm receiving traditional state benefits by the time you step this up, if I'm a self-employed worker, or if I'm on extended benefits, I'll get that $300 stipend without needing to apply as of the first week in January. Is that correct?
Correct. This is how we were able to do it, programming it with the $600 original federal pandemic stimulus payment, as well as the lost wages assistance. There was never a need to apply for either of those. We built in automatically to the program that if an individual is receiving the benefit, that it triggers the eligibility and payment. And then what we hope is that the $300, and we're confident that we will be able to do this, again, pending the guidance and the signing of the law, that they will receive the $300 payment the same way they get their unemployment benefit. But this is going to be critical because there is going to be some confusion where individuals see that a bill is passed, and so they assume the $300 is going to be immediate. but that's not the way this bill works. It is the first week of January is the first time, if it was stood up immediately, that payment would be available. But we will in Utah set it up to be automatic, so individuals do not need to apply separately and do not need to call. They'll just automatically be considered whether on the state benefit, the self-employed unemployment, or the extended benefit.
So just a quick follow-up there. If I'm somebody that had exhausted my state benefits by the time all of this rolled around, will the re-upping, as it were, of the extensions apply to me, and will I be able to reapply?
Well, and that's the one that we're certainly needing the guidance on. So what we do believe is that the 11 additional weeks are going to be enacted from the law, meaning they won't go retroactive. But again, that is pending further guidance. But yes, we do not have that application up yet. So there is going to be that period of time. We're waiting for the law to be signed. We're waiting for the guidance to be able to stand it up properly. And so what we'll do is we'll always communicate at our jobs.utah.gov/COVID-19. But we want to make sure individuals that have since exhausted do have that available 11 weeks. But we do believe those 11 weeks will not go retroactive. They will be from December 27th forward once we're able to stand up the application for those additional 11 weeks.
One quick follow-up, sorry everybody. Now, will the state maintain its policy of requiring those receiving these benefits to meet those job search requirements that you've been kind of mentioning each week?
Yes, and the reason why is again, even though there is an extension, we are always going to be actively communicating that the unemployment insurance program is still time limited. That Utah's economy does continue to be resilient. There are certainly job opportunities, and while we were near expiration of these programs, there wasn't going to be programs available. So we have certainly and continue to advocate for actively looking for work while receiving these benefits to find that stability in employment. So yes, the extended benefit, the pandemic for the self-employed, as well as your state benefit, will continue to require actively looking for work. We'll continue to support people actively looking for work.
Thanks so much.
All right, Matt Rascone with Channel 5. Go ahead, Matt.
Hi, Kevin. Just wanted to get your take, just from your vantage point. How would you describe the need in Utah at this time of the pandemic, and what do you make of the relief being offered in this bill? Is this going to be, sufficient, or is this going to be able to help meet the need here in the state?
Well, I think Utah has proven to have a very resilient economy. We have a 4.2% unemployment rate. We have seen over the last 30 plus weeks, the number of individuals receiving unemployment benefits drop every single week. But that being said, we still have more, that we have about 10,000 people that were going to simply expire on December 26th. So there certainly was a need for these benefits, and we're going to make sure that people are eligible for receive them to provide that stability that they need. But again, back to the question is there are opportunities, and we're going to certainly require active job search for these individuals to be able to reconnect back into the workforce. Because while these programs will extend, their March 13th is also fast approaching. So we want to make sure that people are actively looking for work during this additional weeks so that they find that stability in employment.
Thank you. And I know you said timing was a little bit up in the air. What is the earliest that if things just kind of worked out, the way that they should, and what would be the earliest timing on receiving these benefits?
Well, it's hard to predict for sure, but for context, last time when the CARES Act passed, it took a couple weeks to receive the guidance, and then depending on the complexity of the programs, a couple weeks to be able to make the payments available. But what we're going to do is make sure that we actively kind of know what's available, actively work with the Department of Labor so that we are prepared when that guidance is received. There is some differences in that some of these programs are very similar to what was implemented previously in the CARES Act, so we hope to deliver them quickly. But once they are approved, it's also important to know that it would go back to December 27th. So if there is any delay in the $300 payment, it would go backwards to cover that week beginning or that week ending January 2nd. So if there are any delays, we will make sure that everyone receives all benefits they are eligible for. But for historical, it took a couple weeks to receive the guidance from the Department of Labor before, and then we'll be responsible to implement it from there.
Thank you.
All right, Jason Lee with Deseret News.
Hey, Kevin, how are you?
Hey, Jason.
Hey, do you keep track of the number of people who have exhausted all their benefits? And like you mentioned, the unemployment rate. Well, that's the people that are still applying. So that's kind of how you use, that's how that number is developed. But there's a number of people who may have already exhausted their benefits. And so they're kind of out in this limbo that they don't have a job and yet they don't get counted. Do we know approximately how many people have fallen into that category over the last, since March, I guess?
I certainly don't have a count all the way back to March, but we do know that there are the part of the individuals that have no longer been requesting the benefit. A percentage of that is individuals who have exhausted their benefit. And what this will do is remember that an individual that applies can receive a state benefit for up to 26 weeks and then can get an additional 13 weeks of extended benefit under the original CARES Act, as well as the pandemic unemployment assistance was available for 39 weeks. Right now, I believe that we're on about week 39 or 40 since we saw the original increase in unemployment claims as a result of the pandemic. So I think there are individuals that are nearing or have approached that 39 weeks, but we do know that there's certainly many individuals that have returned to work based on the volume of individuals that have applied for unemployment being much higher than the volume of individuals that have applied for the extended benefits.
Hey, Kevin.
Yeah.
This is Nate. Hey, Jason, in the employment report that came out last Friday, it does provide a approximate number of unemployed individuals. That would be that number you're looking for. And I don't have.
Well, no. I mean, there's approximate number of unemployed individuals, but again, I'm thinking about there's people who we don't end up counting them because they're just kind of in this little spot where they haven't applied for benefits, but yet they still haven't gotten a job.
Meaning they haven't applied for unemployment at all?
Correct. Well, they have exhausted those benefits, and so they don't have them.
Well,
but they're still out of work.
Maybe this will help a little bit, Jason. Just so I pulled up the press release from before.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you look at the number of individuals since March 15th that have applied for the state unemployment benefit is 278,000 individuals, or 278,000 Utahns have applied for that. The number of Utahns that applied for the extended benefit, meaning they were receiving the state unemployment benefit, they exhausted that benefit, and then they transitioned into the extended benefit since March 15th has been 29,000. So approximately about 10%. So that is very promising to see that about 90% of people who were receiving unemployment benefits haven't even applied for the extended benefit, meaning that it is very likely that they have returned to work. So yes, there are individuals that are exhausting. These additional 11 weeks will help them to make sure that they continue to get it. But again, it just emphasizes there are certainly opportunities. We will always advocate that you also have to expand your job search. You have to look outside of economies or industries that you have worked in before, because there are certainly industries that are struggling. But you have to expand that job look into industries that you haven't worked in previously, because there are industries that are proving to be resilient and are growing. You just have to expand that job search. So there is promising news that a lot of individuals have not exhausted. But yeah, are there people exhausting? Yes. And will there be people applying for these additional 11 weeks? Absolutely. And I think it will provide some support to them.
All right. Thank you both.
Thank you, Jason. Tony has a follow-up question.
Hey, Kevin, assuming we do lag, well, if indeed we do lag on Department of Labor interpretation beyond a week or so, are we in the same situation as last time that those $300 stipend payments will be made retroactively?
Yes, to the week ending January 2nd. So remember, the $300 stipend will not be paid this week. And the soonest they'd be eligible is next week, but that is not paid out until the first week in January. So even if there is a lag, it's important to remember that the first pay week is the weekend in January 2nd, which would be paid the first week of January. So yes, if there is a lag into the middle of January, we would absolutely pay retroactively.
Is that sounding kind of unlikely right now, or is it impossible to say?
I don't think it's impossible to say. I think we're hopeful that based on the guidance and based on our interpretation of the law, that we're going to be able to implement it rather quickly. But again, it is dependent on the Department of Labor interpretation. Remember, they have to open up the federal funds. So we cannot make payment until they have provided the guidance saying, here is how you access the funds and here are the requirements of the program. So we cannot draw down those funds until they have made that guidance available and made the funds available.
Again, if I'm a brand new applicant, am I still up against the 3 to 4 week delay in having my claim processed?
Yeah, I think we're still experiencing that. We have still continued to see 4 times the number of applications than we have previously. Part of that certainly is because of the pandemic and the increase in COVID-19 cases. We continue to still have over a 4% unemployment rate. And then remember, we also have the seasonal workforce. So we're still communicating about 21 to 30 days. We are still absolutely processing over 90% within 30 days, and they will be paid retroactively to the date of their application.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we don't have anyone else in the chat. Are there any other questions from any of the other news outlets that haven't been asked yet? Okay. Seeing that there are no more questions, we will go ahead and end this briefing. Please feel free to reach out again to myself if you have any follow-up questions that you would like asked that we can help you with. We appreciate your attendance today, and we hope that this has been helpful for you. Everyone have a great holiday week, and we will be back in touch as we have more news about updates to this to the unemployment program in Utah. Thank you.